Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Poetry Super Highway Live. It's the December 2025 edition of our series. Glad to have you here with us. My name is Rick Lupert. I am your MC for this festivity. If you're just doing one event, is it a single festivity or do we still say festivities? I'm not sure. We're going to look into that and get back to you unless anyone knows, in which case you can come on and let us know. We're all dying to know the answer to that question. Anyway, sorry. Hello. It's our open reading. We've got a full house tonight. A lot of great people here to read poems. If you've already RSVP'd to read and you're here, I've got you on the list. If you're here and you didn't let me know that you would like to read, please make sure that you let me know you'd like to read. Otherwise, I just assume that you're an audience person, which is fine as well. Either way is good. If you're on the open reading list, you get to read a poem, and then we will talk to you a little bit about what's going on in your poetry world, and that's what's going to happen. Before we get to our open reading, this is who I have on the list, by the way, just so everyone knows: Jennifer Phillips, Eric Paul Shaffer, Climbing Sun, Lorraine Caputo, Rosemary Boehm, Martha Ellen, John Dorroh, Lawrence Berger, MS Marcourt, Lorraine MacMillan, and Joe Fox. So there you go. That's who I have currently on the list. Anyone else would like to be added, let me know, and that's how it works. Few items of poetry, superhighway business I'd be happy to let you know about. We just finished our 21st annual ebook free for all on December 1st. And big success. We had about 70 different books, I think, contributed to it, and all of them were free to download for 24 hours on December 1st. And if you would like to see how many what those books are that were in and how many times each one were downloaded, I'm gonna paste a link in the chat so you can go over there and check it out, and maybe you'll consider participating next year if you didn't this year and would like to get in on that either by adding your own book, um, trying to type and talk at the same time, not a skill I have. There you go. There is the link for the ebook free for all in the chat. I think, did it go? Oh yes, something just got posted right after that. So that's that. That's something that's happened. New things which are happening here in Poetry Superhighway land. We just published our annual list of holiday book recommendations. Every year, we encourage people to consider poetry for as gifts, since we're kind of in the heart of gift purchasing season, coming up to gift giving days. So every year I pick some books and add them to a special section of the Poetry Superhighway bookstore. I just pasted a link to that in the chat so you can check it out if you're looking for a recommendation or something of that nature. I see Rose asked in the chat if the ebooks are for Kindle too. They're not. It's all PDFs, not part of the Kindle ecosystem, but I think you can open a PDF on any device, so you should be in good shape there. Anyway, that's not happening anymore until December 1st of 2026, so don't worry about that at this point. That's just some news from the recent past. So holiday poetry book recommendations. And finally, this is something I always feel kind of awkward talking about this, uh, but I guess once a year is kind of fine to do so. So, Poetry Superhighway and its related projects, Ain't Got No Press, Cobalt Poets, and Haikuniverse, under the umbrella of Ain't Got No Press, is a fiscal partnership with an organization called Fractured Atlas. And the purpose of Fractured Atlas is to support literary organizations that aren't officially nonprofits by allowing people to, under their umbrella, collect donations, which then go in to support all of the projects that they do, and allow your average American citizen to make nonprofit or make donations which are tax deductible because you're making it through their nonprofit organization. So if you're the kind of person who makes end of the year donations, here's a way that you can do that to Poetry Superhighway to support all of the expenses of the different things that we do. Is a lot with web hosting and email servers and a whole lot of time that goes into it. And your donation is 100% tax deductible as well in the United States. I know we have some Peruvians here and people from other countries, so not tax deductible in Peru. Uh, I wouldn't even know how that works. Send me an email, I'll figure it out. I don't know. Anyway, those are the three things going on with Poetry Superhighway right now. It's our last open reading of the year. Excited to have you all here. We're going to get right now to our open reading. So we'll say on deck is Eric Paul Shaffer, and our very first open reader will be Jennifer Phillips. So hello, Jennifer.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Rick. Nice to see familiar faces. I thought first I was going to read a landscape poem, but I decided instead, in honor of December, I'll read a holiday poem. It's called A Sort of Happy Holiday. Opening a fifth in place of presents to an old movie from an era of snow and repentance and fedoraed men with turned-up collars heading home, lamps always lit among the bookcases, and star-eyed, scrubbed kids in poinsettia dresses. This is not then. All the places you might walk upstairs to, stay a while, and pay for at a battered desk are not your own. But Mary at the market, with a sort of smile, slid a pair of day-old muffins into your sack, muttered, "Happy holidays." And your codger twin held the door for you into the sleet and hack of barking traffic, balking at lights in haste to get wherever they wanted most to be, while you doddered off at a more patient pace. The Holy Family in a plaster huddle, wind-chipped, decorates the local square, bedraggled without benefit of stable. You say you are grateful for a roof and a door that locks, and a kind look across the checkout counter. These days, mercy crumbs are all it takes to get through, and none of them comes with wrap or ribbons. It's free night, New Year's Eve on the subway, and a seat spare near the door. A wisp of scent maps a route to memory. Even if it was a hard-handed, loud family to come up in, it was yours. And she smelled of Tony home perm, and he of chaws of tiger chew, and meatloaf waited most Mondays on a set table, and everyone seemed to be scraping a way up to a known destination, not sliding slantwise toward avalanche, or flying a holding pattern waiting to spiral down. Still, there are ferns of fractal frost ornamenting your window, a smatter of reflected red and green in the ice, and the radiator's cranking out its old hymn of comfort. So, for today, the journey feels worth the price. Thank you. That one was published in Cider Press Review a while back, and was in my collection.
Wow, well, you've given us a high bar to live up to for the rest of the open reading, Jennifer. Well done. Thank you so much for that piece. What's going on with you in poetry?
I'm working on beginning to assemble a second collection, which is a slow process, and I'm about to have some surgery, so that'll slow everything down for a while. But I haven't been out much, and as the people who chimed in first heard, we're in the middle of a blizzard here, so I'm not going anywhere in a hurry. Um, so yep, that's my quiet December.
Well, man, I hope your surgery goes well, and that soon enough you've forgotten all about that it even happened. Thank you so much for being here, and well done. Round of applause for Jennifer Phillips.
Hearts wear out. We all know that.
Indeed. All right, on deck is Climbing Sun. Our next reader, I'm sure, is also experiencing a blizzard where he lives. Eric Paul Schaefer, what's the weather like where you are?
Oh, just a little rainy and gray, but it's 76 here. So we're fine. We're fine in Kailua. Thank you for asking. That was very kind of you. Today I'm going to read from my selected and new poems. Ain't that a pretty cover? I just love that one. There you go. But this poem is called, now, oh, these are really short, really short. So no blinking. Hang on. How I read poetry. When I finish reading the book, I crumple the sales slip I used to mark my place and throw it away. One day,
Short indeed.
yes, one day I was sitting in at Kadena Air Base on Okinawa, and a friend of mine walked up to me at a table where I was eating and said, "Did you know that Allen Ginsberg died?" And I said, "No, I hadn't heard that." And he goes, "Are you going to write a poem about it?" And I said, "Give me a second." Here we go. Death Mask in Red for Allen Ginsberg.
Oh, Eric, I'm so sorry. It's one poem per person
Oh,
in
sorry, sorry.
the
I forgot.
in the
I was just
situation.
at a reading where it was 5 minutes, so I thought I'd just do three little short ones. But no problem. No problem. Thank you.
You gave us a good one though, so nothing to be worried about there. Eric, before you shut off there, the other part though is letting us know what's going on in your poetry world that you want to tell us about.
Oh, in January, my 10th book of poems, Second Nature, will be released by Coyote Arts Press, and I'll start working on two new books of poems. One called Eavesdropping at the Asylum, which is filled with dramatic monologues, persona poems, and soliloquies only. And the other one is a reissue of my first two short books, Rattlesnake Rider and Kindling. So hopefully those will be out sometime next year.
Oh, that's so cool. Well, congrats on that. Nice to revisit old things and to have new things coming out. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, cool. Thanks for being here. A round of applause for Eric Paul Schaefer. On deck, Lorraine Caputo. Please welcome Climbing Sun. Hello, Climbing Sun.
Hi, everyone. I'm here in East Coast time, same temperature as Kailua, 76. And it was 2 feet and glassy this morning, so I went body surfing. Okay, so this poem I just submitted to a contest, so we'll see what happens. It's called Sorting Fuel. After writing and singing and reciting about the arriving existential crisis, after acting to counter its impact for over 5 decades, the one single fuel that tops off my tank is not what you think. Not the well-financed virus spread by the denialists, not hatred of the fossil god cult, not even self-rage at my own failure to move the needle toward the promised garden. Yes, these can incite flashes of energy, though they mostly fizzle well before the destination even begins to appear through my windshield. A young man recently thanked me for caring about his generation, although I'd not be around to know the outcome. This was a shock. It never occurred to me to imagine the outcome is what matters. This caused me to exit the vehicle I thought I was steering and just jump out and over the embankment to reaffirm the thrill of swimming in Mystery's River. The current's direction is fuel enough to propel me or anyone, even without grasping exactly how welcoming or startling will be that surrendered river's entry into some unknown ocean's embrace. Thank you.
I'm so glad you could come up out of the water to read for us, climbing. And I have this vision of you just live in the water and occasionally come up and maybe check your mail, but then go right back in.
That's true, except for my weekly poetry class on
Oh,
Tuesdays.
very good. So you don't make those folks get in the water to take that?
I'm trying, but they're landlubbers, most of them.
Hmm. Anything, what else is going on in your poetry world you want to tell us about?
Well, as you know, because you linked to my website, I have some books, and one of them is a poetic prose poem memoir called Sun Dances. And I realized recently, well, 6 months ago, that I didn't scratch the surface on uh, what I should say in terms of where I've been, what I've done, and all that kind of stuff. So it's a bit of a vanity thing, but I've written another memoir, which is now at my publisher's. The first one was called Sun Dances. This one's called Sun at Play. So should be out in probably 6 to 8 weeks, and I'm looking forward to that.
That's great news. Well, drop your website in the chat so people can check out what you're up to as well.
Oh,
Glad you're
thanks.
here. Just as I won't keep mentioning this to embarrass you every time you come, since you're now becoming a regular. But Climbing Sun, of course, is the person who came in first place in this year's Poetry Superhighway Poetry Contest. So huge feat there. Glad you're becoming part of this community as well. And thanks for being here.
Thank you. I really like this community a lot, and everything you guys stand for is just off the chart.
Wow. Well, we're going to try to keep living up to that. Thank you, Climbing Sun. Back into the water with you. And round of applause for flying, for Climbing Sun. Flying Sun is a whole different person. We'll get to him later. Rosemary Boehm, you're on deck. Please welcome now Lorraine Caputo. Hello, Lorraine.
Hello, good afternoon. Um, it's tough choosing a poem for today, but I share one for the holiday season. This is called Sounds of Silence. These Christmas Eve streets echo with the mournful song of a blind man's accordion. These Christmas Eve streets, beneath the dim light of a waning crescent moon yet to be arisen. These Christmas Eve streets, echoing with the footfall of families going to Mass, announced by silent bells, the cry of a newborn babe in a manger in a parish church, bathed in the perfume of Palo Santo, the silence of footfalls upon centuries-old wooden floors, the silence of prayers before the creche broken by a baby's cry. These Christmas Eve streets, echoing with the silence of the departed blind accordion.
Wow. There's a mood to get us into the holiday season for sure. Lorraine, thank you so much for that piece.
Thank you.
Well done. What's happening with you in poetry?
Well, I think I mentioned the last time my latest chapbook, a poetry chapbook, Orinoco Plains, was released last month by Dancing Girl Press. It's now available. It has poetry about traveling through the llanos of Venezuela. I've had some poetry published here and there the last month, as well as artwork. And that, yeah, nothing much more than that.
Well, those are some really good things. So glad you have those going on, and glad you were here today with us.
Well, thank you for creating this space, Rick. Happy holidays.
Thanks, you too. Round of applause for Lorraine Caputo. On deck, Martha Ellen. Please welcome Rosemary Boehm. Hello, Rosemary.
Now you allow me to unmute. Well, I have last June, a ninth book of mine came out. It's only a chapbook. I'm in love with words, and I made a little unalphabetical dictionary in form of poetry about words that are very rarely used, and that fascinated me. And the book is The Matter of Words, and this is it. And now I have to choose which one to read, since we're only allowed to read one. I think I use one of the fun ones. Pontificate. First, flex your upper body muscles to appear more intimidating. Learn from the cockerel. Then ready your vocal cords. Learn from the cockerel. You know what mansplaining is, don't you? Now opine in that smug and loud way that sounds so annoyingly pompous and dogmatic. What you don't have in facts and wisdom, just say it all with conviction, since only you are right. There is no comeback. You will smirk on your way home, knowing you have, once again, inspired. Thank you.
Well, I think you chose well, Rose. I also appreciate the statement, "I'm in love with words." I wanna say, I don't know if you have a significant other, but so this joke may not land, but does your partner know?
Well, he is in love with words too, so we have a problem. We have a very full marriage, I suppose.
Oh, so you have a menage a
Menage
mot.
a quattro.
There you go. Well, as long as you're both, as long as it's consensual, I think it's fine.
Well, he's a
good.
poet too. What can we do?
Well, now you're both in trouble, it sounds like. Anything you want to tell us about going on with you in
Well,
poetry?
yes, there is something coming up, and that is a 10th a poetry collection called My Father's Stars, and that, with a bit of luck, will be published at the beginning of 1927. I'm in my century, 2027. I do have a problem. And so that I'm looking forward to that. And in the meantime, I'm working on another chapbook with about 25 odes I've written to beer, to the herring, to my bra, to my toaster, to the pine tree outside my window. And they've all been great fun.
I can't wait to hear the ode to your bra someday.
I can read it next time.
Good. That'll be the theme. That's a good theme for January. Not bras in general, everyone, but specifically the theme is Rose's
Okay,
bra.
I
So,
promise the next time I read my ode to my bra.
Okay, very good. Well, good luck with your relationship, and and thank you so much for being here today. Happy holidays! Round of applause for Rosemary
Thank
Boehm
you.
from Peru. Okay, on deck, John Dorroh. Please welcome now Martha Ellen Johnson. Hello, Martha.
Hello. I just have a poem today that was from some little odd things that happened around red ribbons. And it's called The Trouble with Red Ribbons. 1. Sometimes I can feel the slippage of time, different worlds plied, past over present. Before, the day I went to buy some red ribbon, bombs exploded on Commercial Street just outside Fabricland. Hello, enjoying the sunshine? The clerk asked while ringing up the sale, unaware. The beast was knocking in Bruges, often to Tur. Yes, a little too hot for me. Then in sotto voce, she said, they took my 4 uncles into the woods, never seen again. My tante went missing too, I said. Amid distant gunshots, we'd heard them calling. Danken an us. Remember us. Rivulets of blood like red ribbons. But not this day. All's quiet. She hands me a receipt. We smile like strangers. I leave and head for home. There's only a light breeze on a warm and sunny day. 2. Now I'm losing a myopic view of long-gone events, allowing them to fade into the fog of history, regaining perspective and proportion. Birth announcement, flattened booties, bronzed baby shoe, the first drawing of a kitty, photo of her holding Maxie when he was just a puppy, macaroni necklace, recital invitation, first place red ribbon, the poem about a dinosaur, doily Valentine, to Mom, love Rosie, brand new Carlson rosin, dark, Tante's rosary, discharge summary, Dale's letter, come to Alaska with me. Through everything with the funeral notice, the memoir transcript, even the red ribbon, into a box in the basement. Just that. That's it.
I love that piece, Martha. A lot of really great and specific imagery in there that was just got me thinking and remembering things. I'm ready to go to Alaska with you to start there. Thank you so much for that piece. Really dug it. What's happening with you in poetry these days?
Oh, well, I'm trying to brush up some old poems. I sometimes you just keep little fragments here and there, and then all of a sudden they start to like bloom and grow. So I'm working on that. I've had several published. I had this prose piece it's kind of weird because it's like black comedy, but it was published and then I read it in the magazine and I was like, oh no. And it's called Getting Rid of the Books of a Dead Poser. And so it has sort of a black comedy piece. So I was working on that and working on some other stuff. And that's about all. Staying in
That's
the
cool. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what the results of what you're working on. And thanks so much for sharing that awesome piece with us today.
Oh, thank you, Rick, so much for having this forum.
Pleasure. All right, round of applause for Martha Ellen Johnson. On deck, Lawrence Berger. Please welcome now John Dorroh. Hello, John.
Hello. Hi, everybody. Here in St. Louis area, the St. Louis area, it got up to 15 today. So, but it was below 0 this morning. We're recovering from the last snow and we didn't get any this time. Anyway, with the holidays approaching, many people kind of dress up their homes. We don't do that. We're not unhygienic. Please understand that. But decorations are minimal, and what you see is what you get. And that's what this poem is about. And by the way, well, I'll tell you that in a minute. I'll read the poem. Cheer up. Christmas is coming. I don't want to see you at Christmas when you're full of artificial sweetener and cheer and goodwill toward mankind. I want to see you with cat hair on your black sweater and your kids not speaking because you grounded them for saying fuck in the church parking lot. I don't want to see you at Christmas when everyone's in a hurry to show their benevolence for a few weeks in December. I want to see you in January when the bills are due and the dentist says there's a tumor as big as a lemon under your tongue and the IRS audits your business. I don't want to see you at Christmas when the jellies you made in July make their appearance in grapevine gift baskets and holiday cards are taped in perfectly straight lines down the hallway like little flat coffins filled with holiday greetings. I'd rather visit you on a cold Saturday morning and drink leftover microwave coffee and sit in the den where a tornado showered souvenirs all over the house. And you don't even have to get dressed.
That's my motto.
Yeah, let it happen.
But I work from home, so it's
Yeah.
just kind of roll down the hall with the bed still sort of attached to me to my desk to work.
Yeah.
I'm not on board with leftover microwave coffee, John. I think you need to reconsider that, though.
Yeah, you're right.
All right.
But 10 years ago tomorrow was the first poem published that I ever had published. And it was in this little journal called Walk Right Up. And it was curated by 3 young people in their New York City apartment. And so tomorrow's the day, 10 years. And that's why I read that, really. But no one's taken any of my chapbook manuscripts, but I keep sending them out one day. But I have had 49 poems published so far this year. And Martha Ellen, you talked about resurrecting old poems. That's been happening a lot, pulling back poems, pulling up poems from the last 10 years and just having a good time rereading them and go, why wasn't this published? And then working on it and seeing if maybe in 2026 we can get those in the queue. Anyway, that's what's happening.
Those are some good things to be happening. That's 49 poems published this year is pretty good, even if they haven't taken your chapbook yet. But keep trying. I bet you sent out a lot more than 49 poems.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
that's the lesson. So, but that's a great accomplishment. Almost one a week, number-wise, but for the year.
Well, thank you and happy holidays to all of you.
Thanks, John. Thank you so much for being here. Round of applause
Thank
for
you.
John Dorroh. On deck, MS Marquardt, please welcome Lawrence Berger. Hello, Larry.
Hi, Rick. Thanks for having me. This one's out of my book, Word Dancing. It's my newest collection. Came out in 2023, but it's called The Cure for What Ails You. Things that are fermented are supposed to be good for you. Exercise strengthens muscles, and 12-ounce curls have emboldened many an armchair quarterback. Pickle juice has helped many women make it through pregnancies. Sourdough bread is awesome. But some of the things that have fermented, racial injustice, anti-Semitism, economic manipulation, hate, political diversion, and more. They say that chicken soup and kombucha can cure anything. Sometimes I wonder who they are.
That's the lifelong question, when they say, "Hey, did you hear what they did now?" No one knows who they are, and that's the real problem. It's not what they
Yeah,
did. No one knows who they are.
definitely.
Larry, what's going on with you in poetry?
Well, I'm doing a lot of promotion and trying to get the books noticed. And let's see, I just did a holiday party for a poetry society I'm involved with. I'm actually on the board this year, so that's going on. And that's my poetry world.
Cool. Well, those are some good things. Keep it up. Good luck with your promotion on the book, and thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Rick. Happy Hanukkah.
Thanks. You too. All right. Round of applause for Lawrence Berger. On deck, Lorraine MacMillan. Please welcome now MS Marquardt. Hello, MS.
Hi, good to see you. I'm going to be reading a poem from the anthology Coven of the East, reimagining Asian women's magical histories. And it's called Protection Spells Against Long COVID and ME/CFS. Tigers were in all of our Halabaji's bedtime stories when my brother and I visited Korea with our mom. He was our only relative there who spoke English, so Halmani fed us steamed rice and salty grilled fish, and our step-grandfather told us about going for chilly night walks in the green-smelling woods, where he would always meet a tiger. "How are you enjoying your children?" the tiger would ask in a growl. It knew we were visiting because it was always watching over us, even when we were on the other side of the Pacific. It made sense. In our California home, a carved wooden tiger stood guard, fangs bared. I loved to stroke its soothing, smooth shape and feel protected. I believed in those tiger stories longer than I believed in Santa. But then the wooden tiger disappeared after I went to college, and my memories of Halabaji's stories faded. My friend Rebecca has brought back those memories. She sends me tigers. Tiger lamp, tiger print, tiger plush toy that can flip from happy to fierce. We share a Korean American heritage, and with these tigers, she is sending me the symbolism of power, strength, and peace. She is sending me sacred guardians to protect against evil, to actively chase away bad luck. Being so cared for brings tears to my eyes. I put the tiger lamp next to my side of the bed in the corner of the studio apartment I share with my husband. The low white glow of the tiger's body watches over me, giving me strength. With my severe disabilities, every day is a battle. She understands, and I feel her constant care. She wants to chase away my struggles. She wishes me luck with my health. I put the tiger plush toy below the TV, facing the couch. When I don't have the energy to eat, when I can't stand up to go to the bathroom, when my brain fog prevents getting anything done, when I spiral into worry and despair, I look up to see it watching me, encouraging me, and I take a breath. I've been waiting to hang the tiger print, but it's time. During Japan's colonization of Korea, tigers were a symbol of resistance, courage, and hope. After the 2024 election, the fear and dread are constant, and it feels like I need these tigers, bearers of my friends' love, reminders of my ancestors' protection, now more than ever.
I also have been trying to get my wife to agree to allow us to have tigers in the house. And she's not quite on board. I'm barely allowed to put out food for the wild bunny, which is outside. But so I understand where you're coming from there, and certainly have a kinship for anything cat related. So sweet. Thank you so much, MS Marquardt. What's happening with you in poetry?
Well, I've got a couple poems in anthologies that are out now. One is I'll Get Right on It, and these are poems from the Land and Labor Poetry Collective on working life in the climate crisis. And one is in volume 2 of Pillow Writers, Near Life Experiences. And this is an anthology by people with long COVID and ME/CFS.
That's cool. Well, congrats on getting poems and those things, and more success to you. And thanks for coming back. It's nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too, Rick. Thank you.
All right, round of applause for MS Marquardt. I know we've got some people in the room who have not signed up for the open, and that's cool if you're just here to listen. But just remember, if you would like to read, you need to let me know. Here's who I have on the list: Lorraine MacMillan, Jim Fox, Trevor, Heather Romero-Kornblum, Sam Harty, Randy Fowler, and JD Glasscock. If anyone else is here who would like to read, let me know by sending me a message in the chat. Jim Fox, you are on deck. Please welcome Lorraine MacMillan. Hello, Lorraine.
I am cold in Wilmington, Delaware. It's good to see everybody. I have two poems, but I'm going to share one. And I guess I'm going to share the one called The Quiet Child. She is me, the quiet middle child, but the good one. Do they remember all I do every day? Quiet, only speaking to my diary long ago. The diary listens. Until that day, I found my younger sister reading it with a friend, laughing. Did no one talk about boundaries? And I'm still quiet and writing, asking to be heard, every word. Then I found the door to therapy. That's it.
Perfect, Lorraine. Well done. Good selection for us. Anything going on in your poetry world you want to tell us about?
Well, I just am getting over shingles, which is pretty rough. And my mother and stepfather are getting older, so they need a lot of help. And it that's not poetry, but that's life. Poetry is life.
Yeah, certainly there's some overlap, I think, with poetry and life for many of us, but you're right, they can exist in their own boxes. Well, I hope you get through that quickly and completely, Lorraine, and thank you so much for being here today. Round of applause for Lorraine MacMillan, a repeat offender here at Poetry Super Highway Live. On deck is Trevor. Please welcome now Jim Fox. Hello, Jim.
There we go. Sorry, double muted. I selected a little poem to read for Christmas. Quick background on this. It actually started out as a summertime poem. I used to be, both my boys were 6 years apart, so I always teased them I was in scouting longer than they were, because both my sons and my daughter went into the scouting program. And since I was always there as a merit badge counselor or parents committee, whatever, I got roped into some scout training and then became the scoutmaster. And we were on a trek headed up California's Highway 33, and it happened during the summer. But then I was challenged in a group I belonged to write a Christmas poem, and I realized, changing a fishing cap on this caricature to a Santa cap, I had a Christmas story, and that's where this little poem comes from. It's called Christmas Out on Route 33. Well, well, well. Now, whatever did I just see? Chugging along out on old Route 33. A panda bear in a Honda. Could it be? And he was pushing a big old blue RV. His paws on the steering wheel seemed out of place, as did the fuzzy smile on his fuzzy face, beneath his Santa hat with a holly sprig, putting along, pushing that RV so big. I'd pass country mailboxes with wreaths bedecked. That's the seasonal joy I'd come to expect. Not a panda with a red bow round his neck, helping a fellow traveler on his trek. When I passed him by, I knew then what I saw. A rolling prank by a gray-haired grandpapa. That panda His car wasn't pushing. No, no, no. His Honda was just a vehicle in tow. And that was published this year in All Your Poems Anthology magazine, the Christmas edition. So
Cool. Congrats on that. And especially congratulations on finding the unmute button as well, Jim. Uh, I know it's a lot. It used to be at in-person readings, they just call your name and you'd walk up. Now we have to press buttons and figure out what we're doing. It's complicated. What's going on in your poetry world?
Last year I did have in the California Writers Club anthology, I had Trek to Serenity. And what was funny is I was thinking of the sereneness of this lake. And I don't know how many people have since told me, especially in our club, that they've actually trekked to Serenity Lake. There is no Serenity Lake in California, but I'm glad I hit the button that they could envision themselves being there on whatever hike they took to any lake. And then this year, a strange thing happened. I put into a labor anthology that was put on by the Tuliberg Press out of Stockton, California. And Stockton quite often gets bad press. And for 30 years, I worked in that city and quite often would spend a lunch hour at Weber Point, which is where the town's founder originally had a house. It burned down in the 1890s and rebuilt a couple of times. And eventually, just the foundation was left, and then that estate became a park, and it sits out on a point on the Stockton Channel. So I wrote a poem. The labor poem was talking about people working in the San Joaquin Valley environs, and particularly in Stockton. So it was accepted, and then something happened where I had to plead with them to reopen, let me take out a stanza and put in another stanza. And what happened was the tributes to the Buffalo Soldiers, they were the black cavalrymen, began to disappear in our various museums. There was a time that the Yosemite Valley was declared a national park. And there's a weird concept in people's brains. That's public lands. That means I can go run cattle there. I can go timber that land. I can go dig for minerals. And so Teddy Roosevelt was president, and he said, send the nearest cavalry unit and get those guys kicked out of the park. Well, the nearest one happened to be on Angel Island. They were billeted to Presidio, but they happened to be the 10th Cavalry, known as the Buffalo Soldiers from the Indian War times. So they couldn't be on the Presidio because they were black. They didn't want them wandering the streets of San Francisco. So they were out on Angel Island, but they literally rode through Stockton. So I was able to, there was a re-encampment in 2005 because that was 100 years after they'd made that ride to protect Yosemite. And the Smokey the Bear hat comes from there, arriving with those mounted trooper caps. So that I had a good feeling about that, to take what happened to our history and include it, because where centuries collide, I juxtaposed the founding of Weber's Point to what had happened over the years. Wells Fargo Bank, where every language was heard as miners came to cash their gold in, and it just I had a good feeling about that. So that's so far. I've got several short stories and several poems published, and just keep looking at society for my ideas.
That's fantastic. That's quite a story to tell. Some nice history you gave to us, and good to know the history of that piece as well. Thank you so much for sharing all that, Jim.
Okay, thank you. Humble.
Thanks for being here. Round of applause for Jim Fox. Thank you, Jim. On deck, Heather Romero-Kornblum. Please welcome Trevor. Hello, Trevor.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? All right. Chag Sameach, Rick, and Merry Christmas to everybody who celebrates. I'm going to read a poem called The Final Tribulation of a Pigeon. On the way to work, I was waiting at a bus stop, one of two transfer points. I looked up as I often do at this time of day, daybreak, because the light really does break the sky into pinks, oranges, and yellows. And a flock of pigeons, usually they would be wheeling and twirling in the sky, but on this day, penetrating the fog of waking up, a red-tailed hawk, talons outstretched, quickly snatched a pigeon out of its flight path, trailing fallen feathers. The hawk, dragging the pigeon along with it, sailed off triumphant through the sky and disappeared behind a building. I am a pigeon who has lost many feathers, but survived.
Trevor, cool. May we all follow the example of that pigeon and persevere. Thank you for that piece. What's happening with you in poetry?
Well, I'm on my last day of a writing residency on Toronto Island. Live in Toronto, Canada, and there's a cluster. It's everybody says the island, but it's actually a cluster of islands, and they turned it into a park, and it's really this used to be an old school in the early 1900s, so they turned it into an art center, and you can like rent it for really low prices and just focus on your art or your work or your writing or your music. So it's a really cool place. There's been lots of amazing people here to interact and get inspiration from. Yeah, and I'm currently working on a poetry collection of been very interested in the idea of recursivity in chaos mathematics. So I have my first poem is kind of like a blueprint, and then each poem after that is like zooming in on one word or idea in that first poem, and it just kind of blows it up into a new poem. And some of them are like persona narrative poems. Some of them are personal experience poems. And yeah, so I had my first meeting with an editor this week, but that was it didn't work out. I'm gonna have to. She gave me some good suggestions, and I've been editing the collection, and that's one of the poems from the collection. So yeah, that's what's going on right now. It's very cold here. I'm envious of anybody who said it's 76. Oh my goodness. It's like minus. Oh yeah, I don't know what it is in Fahrenheit, but it's like minus 10 Celsius here.
Minus anything isn't good in temperature to experience, regardless of Fahrenheit or Celsius. And it's those bastards in Florida and Hawaii who are experiencing 76 and showing up to read their poetry in their short sleeve shirts and everything. I have nothing to complain about. It's been like 70 degrees here in LA the last couple days. So I'm only wearing this sweater because it's sort of Hanukkah themed, festive, and Hanukkah starts tonight, and it's too warm for the sweater. I apologize. Toronto's a beautiful city, though, and I'm glad it sounds like you're experiencing a lot of good things there and have a good arts community that you're a part of. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your piece, Trevor.
Thank you, Rick, and thank you everybody for sharing your work. I've really been enjoying it.
Cool. Well, there's more to come. Round of applause for Trevor from Canada, where they speak in Celsius. We've got Heather, Sam, Randy, JD, Alissa, and Steve left on the list. Friendly reminder, I know some people came in late. It's one poem, and then we'll talk a little bit about what's going on in your poetry world. If anyone wants to get added, now's your chance to do so. Send me a message in the chat. Sam, you are on deck. Please welcome now Heather Romero-Kornblum. Hello, Heather.
Hi, Rick. I'm reading to you from a UPS store, believe it or not. Or I could step out for a sec, but into the non-UPS world. So this is a poem called Melania Branches Out. And it's going to be coming out in Southern California branches. I dreamt that Melania did an open mic rain theme poem titled Stormy. Melania attends a 12-step for people whose lives have been affected by compulsive sexual behavior. Melania waves a Slovenian flag, protesting Big Macs for athletes. Melania would rather bake Christmas cookies and wonder when it became a problem to not see color. In my dream, she comes to me on a unicorn. Amnesia about how she crossed the ocean. The American dream, unattainable and stifling. I don't care, do you? So there's that one. Hope you guys were able to hear it.
Yeah, we could hear it, Heather. I'm curious as to what the world is like outside of UPS world.
Well, I stepped out of the UPS world to read that. My poetry world. So I had a poem in the LA Art News Poets Place this month, and I have some stuff coming out in the Southern California branches from Four Feathers Press. And then last month I had also a poem in the Women Who Submit blog, This Makes Up the Sky, under the rain theme. And I have a few things in the works coming out in various anthologies. And I'm also working on a chapbook that's a sequel to my first chapbook, I'm Not Over You. This one is She Became Birds and Small Desert Animals. And it's, I'm going to submit it to a contest next month. And yeah, so that's what's going on in my poetry world, and just trying to make it happen, trying to, do all that.
That's great. Well, keep trying to do that. You're putting some great work out there, and nice to see you today. Normally, I get to see Heather on the Tuesday night Cobalt Poets reading, so nice to see you in this space, and thanks for coming tonight.
Yeah, I'm excited that I made it out to this one also.
So much to do. Thank you very much. Round of applause for Heather Romero-Kornblum, who may be heading back into UPS world as we speak. Perhaps she's trying to negotiate some kind of pact between the two worlds. I'm not sure. We'll get back to you on that. On deck, Randy Fowler. Please welcome now Sam Harty. Hello, Sam.
Hey, everyone. Glad to be here. The poem I'm going to read, excuse me, the poem I'm going to read is for the one I love, who is 6,000 miles away in Istanbul, Turkey. It's called Invisible. You say I'll be bored, that you can't give me enough, that your life is too full, too messy, too much for me to want. But you don't see me. You don't see how I ache just to stand in your kitchen, just to sit on your balcony while your kids run through the house, while the kettle whistles, while the day is nothing but ordinary. You don't see that I would fly halfway around the world just to hug you, just to fold your laundry, to hear your son say, parte harte, to fall asleep to the sound of your living room TV playing Turkish news in the next room. You think I want something from you, but all I want is you, uncurated, unfiltered, real. You don't see me, not the way I see you, beautiful in your chaos, worthy in your fatigue, enough, always enough. And it hurts me because I'm here, 6,000 miles away, heart open, hands empty, waiting to be let in. And you won't even open the door. Thank you.
Sam, thank you. And welcome to Poetry Superhighway Live. I think it's your first time here. So glad to have you in this space. Tell us where you're reading to us from. Oh, sorry. Let me click the Ask to Unmute button. There you go.
I'm sorry, I muted myself. I'm just so used to automatically doing that. Well, I've just completed writing a book for and about survivors of sexual assault. I'm an advocate where I live in Louisiana and for a sexual trauma center. And so I've completed this book, 70 pages, 44 poems. I'm trying desperately to get it published. It's a hard book to get published, very hard book to get published. But I'm hoping that sometimes between 26 and 27, it will find its home publisher. A few of the poems out of the book have been published in places like Text Power Telling, Local Gems, and a few others. So we'll see what happens.
Cool. Well, that sounds like an important book to get out there. So I'm rooting that your wish comes true and that sometime in the next year that gets out there for people. Thanks for working on it, and thank you so much for being here with us today. Please come back.
Thank you.
All right, round of applause for Sam Harty, reaching out to us from Louisiana. You could hear that in her voice after she mentioned Louisiana. It's like, of course you're from Louisiana. We can hear that. All right, on deck, JD Glasscock, please welcome now Randy Fowler. Hello, Randy.
Hello. And I'm going to be reading something in a similar vein. This was inspired by a poem by, I think it's Araceli Gramey, that was You Are Who I Love. So, restored beauty. You three are beautiful sculptures, as if crafted by Michelangelo, which storms have weathered and the selfish have slashed. You, a single mother of three teens, who sings a solo like you were appointed by the heavens, who works three jobs and volunteers more, who refuses to feel sorry for yourself, but lives in gratitude. I hope you take the time each day to look in the mirror at the wonder the Master created and who he's restoring. You are who I admire. You, the mother of two teen daughters who were ripped away from you by a husband with connections. You who lifts up all those around you with your positive attitude and doesn't hesitate to serve others. My hope is you delight in the beauty the Master has crafted, to let him repair and polish the deep cut that can't hide the splendor he created. You are who I admire. You, the single mother of one child, you who longs to be a professional poet, there is no greater beauty than the vulnerability you show. Amazed at your strength, your sensitivity, your forgiveness, even your righteous hate. You have that radical courage to split yourself open to let the Master work on the deepest part of you. You are who I admire. From a scarred sculpture who is also under the Master's restoration. Poem.
Randy, nice job. Encouraging piece there. Thank you for sharing it with us. What's happening with you in poetry?
Not a lot. I am lucky in the last month or two. I've had some real small, publications, like in Fresh Words or other things. And I was a finalist in the Babylon Arts Council Poetry Contest this past summer, and a few things like that, but nothing extraordinary. So that's about it. Although I would say I heard one person on here. I am from Modesto. I think he was from Stockton, just north of that. And I'm going to be starting the MOST Poetry Challenge, which I believe is one prompt a day for 30 days, starting maybe tomorrow. Since it's from my hometown, I thought I would join that. And MOST stands for Modesto, Stanislaus County, Modesto City and Stanislaus County.
That's cool. Yeah, it's good that those things happen throughout the year. A lot of folks, including Poetry Superhighway, or a lot of organizations, publications, including us, do that over National Poetry Month in April, publish a prompt a day. But there's no reason that can't happen other times of the year. So thanks to MOST for putting that together, and good luck with getting through that. Hope you put out some great stuff, or create some great stuff, I should say. Randy, thank you for being here. Round of applause for Randy Fowler. On deck, we've just got three more on the open reading list. JD Glasscock, Alissa Samarco, and Steve Horel, and then me. I guess you can count me as well. I guess that's 4. So Alissa, you're on deck. Please welcome now JD Glasscock. Hello, JD.
Hey, man. Every time I see you, it always takes me back almost 3 decades, man, into Southern California and us sitting in bars, drinking and spitting words. That was before the whole giant splurge into internet and Zooms and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, all right, I'm going to read a poem I wrote called Porcelain Divinity. A girl raised on gypsy dreams in the shadows of make-believe, where everything is a fulcrum of need. And in her youth, she traipsed upon could-bes and hope bottled in oval glass, spreading its possibilities in grains of sand. And years etched themselves upon bones of pervasive time, and little girls' skirt moments of innocent frivolity, drifting into slow hip dances in the proclivity of provocative aspirants of love's doting remembrance. Oh, yes. She started noticing the eyes of boys flirting with the curves, expounding upon the growth of her road. She was taught in ingrained spins of loom by a mom who found wisdom in the bottom of bottles and TV streaming poster boards of want and picture-perfect spreading of limbs and the fervent inhaling of chained smokes upon the creasing of wrinkles, in the absent silhouettes where fathers should have placed the love of daddy beliefs in the strength of promise. Find solidity and knowledge and security of tomorrow's cobbled steps in the lust draped upon our hips, her mama droned out with head suspended over sweet toilet regurgitations of late night revelry. Take all you can from their limp dick stroking of ego, she spit upon cracked marble, taking breaths between vomit to pull trails of stubbed cigs. It is not intellect that will garner you upper swings in your avenues of gypsy dreams, but beauty and a certain amount of cleverness. The girl smiled the sweet smile of burgeoning youth as she nodded to the matron of her everything, practicing the swaying of hips and the pursing of lips in the mirror, perching a drop step above her mama's sprawl reminiscence. Her youth spun itself to club days and mastered sways of long legs, her voluptuous pirouettes of long flowing skirts now tempered by clever coin spins of tilled out furrows and lessons carved upon her thighs, upon her heaving sides and the now gone shade of her mama's loving ways, parked in a roadside grave. She had jewels tittering foul humor upon the back step of her sliding tongue, men in lines wrapping corners in the batting of her eyes and to their ardent want. Clever as a lever in which she lifted green bills and aspirations from their bucking need, promotional campaigns now replacing the fabric of her philosophical seeds, breasts slick with the sweat of accomplishment, eyes now glazed days of empty promises and daddy blues and aversion of truth. But she had everything, wanted nothing, red carpets the streets her feet left imprints upon, flashing lights all bright upon the pursing of her practiced lips, upon the dip of her cleavage just so, upon the grade she made, upon the dropping jaws left in her wake, fancy cars and upscale bars and the dizzying heights of stars braiding their Olympic egos into the length of her moon-spun hair. She had everything, everything and nothing, somewhere between something and the neutral tones of anything. But hope and smiles pitted with the depth of ages were bargaining chips she had long ago pawned. Oval glass now shattered into sand flakes, she flipped at homeless progenies of failed TV flicks of lessons wasted. And yet as time is wont to do, it flipped pages faster than the drifting of sleep upon heady brows, and she found her hand tilting more and more, bottles empty against the fabric of belief, found scorched flames and the inhaling of tombs and the caricatures of tobacco rolled in visionary copulation, noticed her cleavage dipping lower than it used to, wrinkles where was once smooth skin, skirts tighter over bulging waist, less want and more desperation. Then her belly swelled after long nights of lingering sweat and fading misplaced faces and a blur of limbs and memory, found empty silhouettes where daddy should be paying rent, and she, as clocks wound the passing moments, looked upon the eyes of a girl holding innocence and hope and the wanting of more. She spat upon the floor at her daughter's knees between slugs of liquor and drags of smoke. Let me tell you about gypsy dreams and make-believe and flowing skirts and the way the wind blows and promotional campaigns. A long, hard look. Let me tell you about everything. She paused as her blood and bone and a little girl's adoration blinked with haunted gaze, counting breaths between death, waiting for her to throw up over porcelain divinity.
Wow, JD, I could close my eyes and just like it takes me right back to those few decades ago and hearing your voice, which hasn't changed a bit. Not just your voice, but the way you write and read as well. So super nostalgic for me as well to hear your work this afternoon.
Thanks, brother. I don't do it too much anymore, but um, I had, it's been years since I've actually gone and read anywhere. And the last time I read something was here, however long ago that was, like 6 months, 7 months, I don't know, a while back. And then before that, it was a couple of years. But I saw the link on Facebook when I was posting something else, and then I went, you know what? I need a break from writing. I am lucky and blessed enough that I make a living finally after 30 years of chasing creativity, doing creative things as a lit RPG Amazon author. I actually make a living doing it for the last couple of years, which is beautiful. But that also means that literally 7 days a week, I have to write at least 2,000 to 2,500 words if I want to keep that living going. I just put out my 21st book. I think it's coming out Tuesday. But anybody that's an independent author, unless you have a series that just blows up beyond belief, you have to constantly keep producing and keep putting those Amazon books out. So it was a nice little break when I saw your little link. I said, you know what, let me take a break, mental break from writing. That book I just finished that's coming out Tuesday, I just finished 2 days ago, and I made myself take yesterday off to let my mentals rejuvenate a little bit. But I was back at it today. I was about 800 words in for the daily total. And I was like, you know what? Reading a poem might actually be a nice thing to do, and seeing Rick and supporting some other poets. So
That's really sweet, and congrats on all that success. Yeah, the whole reason Poetry Superhighway exists is to get people to stop working and to participate in poetry. So I'm glad that that happened for you, and I hope you take a day off, maybe a little more frequently. But you got to do what you got to do to keep food on the table, and you're kind of living the dream for a lot of writers. So
hey, it took 3 decades, and for all those people out there, my first 8 books didn't sell shit. But I didn't give up, and I didn't stop believing, and then I wrote a 4th series, my 9th book, which did take off. So you just got to keep having faith.
Indeed, good advice, encouraging. Nice to see you again. I hope it's not another 7, 8 months. Thanks for being here, JD.
Well, we're on Facebook together, brothers. You can always say hi.
Of course, I'll keep that in mind. Round of applause for JD Glasscock. Thank you so much for being here.
Blessings.
On deck, Steve Horel. Please welcome now Alissa Samarco. Hello, Alissa.
Hi, it's actually Alissa. That's okay. I blame my mother. She spelled it that way. So I'm Alissa Samarco. I'm from Cincinnati. And since everybody has talked about the weather, I'm going to tell you, like, we got like 6 inches of snow last night. I had to cancel an event in Louisville, which is only 2 hours south of here, because they closed early because Louisville is south of the Ohio River and they have no snow capability. So here we are. But I'm glad to have caught the reading today. I'm going to read Translating Gravity. It is, in terms of form, it is an essay, which basically means it's talking about one thing and really talking about something else at the same time through the description or exculpation of the thing I'm supposed to be talking about, which is gravity. Translating Gravity. A step on the moon, where the only light in the sky reflects against gray-blue dust, undisputed for millions of years. It is the sound of a door closing when no one else is in the house. A footstep I thought was yours. The straw broom sweeping up crumbs after dinner, and all I have in my pocket, copper clinking as I walk. I don't fall here in this house where gravity bounces from my knees to the couch, from the hardwood floor to the bed, soft down beneath my head. I have never lived here, in this house I call my home. I climbed out of the lunar capsule, claimed squatters' rights to this landscape, and I once believed it was so beautiful. Thank you.
Oh, really nice poem, Alissa. Thank you so much for that. My
Thank you.
apologies for mispronouncing your mom. Your mom. I mispronounced your mom. That's a
It's
whole
okay.
other issue which we're not going to get into here. That's private between us. For mispronouncing your name, but really gorgeous poem. Well done.
Thank you. So, and you guys have asked about, so I have a book coming out from the Main Street Rag in, if you've ever worked with Main Street Rag, it's, or any publisher actually, it just depends on everything else. So it's supposed to come out in February or March of 2026 called Paper Doll. It is, as a friend told me, buckle up and, you know, put your holsters on because it's a shotgun towards any relationship you've ever had or ever thought about. I hope that you'll look at it. I'll post something so you can take a look. There's some sample poems, but it's called Paper Doll. Basically, you know, if you're, oh my goodness, the poem, which is the title poem, is about, you know, trying to get somebody's attention and then not being able to get their attention, being left basically like a paper doll holding hands with yourself, folding in half. It is the quintessential loss and abandonment issue. That particular poem is not the whole book, of course, because there's a section which is called Longing, which of course would be a little bit more intense and is not about abandonment. So I hope you'll check it out. I hope you like this poem. I have a series of translating poems, which really started from my contemplation of translating silence from the stepping out in March of 2020 when they shut everything down and they shut the highway down. And I live close enough to the highway where you can hear the highway 24/7. And I stepped out onto my porch that day and could hear nothing. It was silent. And that kind of brought that translating thought into my head. So thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Alissa. Thanks for your work and all of that info. If you want to post a link in the chat, feel free to do so, and people can check it out. And thank you so much for being here today.
Yes, thank you. I don't always catch you because you're on the West Coast and I'm here on the East Coast trying to make sure that I maintain my healthy sleep pattern.
Good. That's quite a feat for a poet, I think. So good luck with that. And thank you so much for being here. Round of applause for Alissa Samarco, East Coast poet who is awake at this very moment. Lucky us. On deck is me to close out the open reading. Please welcome now Steve Horel. Hi, Steve.
Hi there. I'm also from the land of centigrade, and it's 10 degrees centigrade, but it's plus where I am. I'm on Vancouver Island. So, at any rate, I'm just going to read a poem from another poem. I read one last time from the chapbook that came out this year, dedicated to my wife, who passed away. So this poem is called Sharp as a Chisel. Her firm hand on the tiller of my life, her steady insistence in a kayak, her crooked smile, eyes that told stories day or night, the amazing stuffed bears she made. A Kathy bear was a big deal. Charlie still drags his around. Kathy always came through, made an open cedar coffin for Janet, drove from the hospital through town, coffin surrounded by women, including Janet's mom, keening in the back of my pickup. as co-owner of Blue Heron Books, dealing with people every day, not as smart or pliant as Wood. Kathy didn't suffer fools. So as the years we spent together grew, by default, my estimation of myself increased. When we shared an apple, she just broke it in two. No knife, no creasing the skin before. I couldn't do it. You never milked cows as a kid, she said. True enough. First time I heard the word fuckwit. Only once, I said. I'm not as stupid as I look. You don't think so? She said. Ouch. I opened my mouth and nothing came out. Outside in a steady rain, a crack, then a thud. A tree meets the earth. Okay, that's it.
That's all there needs to be, Steve. Well done. A good poem. Landed well over here. Thank you so much for sharing that. Would you like to tell us anything about what's happening with you in poetry?
Sure. Probably the one thing that's a bit different for me is there's a there's a young Australian musician. I think he's 20 years old now, who took one of my poems actually from this chapbook and wrote a song. And his album came out in September, and he was touring Europe, opening for Xavier Rudd. If anybody knows who that is, he's an Australian musician. Um, at any rate, it's quite a good song. I've listened to it several times, and it's titled the same as one of the poems in here. Perhaps I'll read it next time. It's called "No One Can See You." So anyway, I'm credited as a co-writer of the song, which is good. At any rate, his name is Finojet, Finojet. I'll make a note in the chat. And all you have to do is uh, probably just Google it. I mean, I don't do Spotify or any of that stuff. So, and I managed to get it through Google. So, uh, yeah. Anyway, so that's
That
other than that,
that's really
I
cool.
read once a month. Okay.
That's better
Thanks.
than not at all, Steve. And glad you were here reading for us today. I'm glad you're experiencing temperatures with a plus ahead of them, even if it's still a little cold. And that's quite an accomplishment to have a song created from your lyrics. So you should be proud of that. And thanks so much for being here. And please do come back.
Okay. Well, thanks for doing this.
Sure. Round of applause for Steve Horel up there in Canada on this side of the country, Vancouver. Good to have you here, Steve. Thanks for helping create this a multinational affair, Poetry Superhighway. I'm going to close out the open reading with a poem. Hanukkah starts tonight, perhaps where you are, it's already started. I've got another hour and a half or so. One of the traditions is that we're supposed to do is when we light our Hanukkiot, our menorahs, we're supposed to place them in windows so people can see them. We're supposed to kind of have pride about that, and which is why, well, something that'll be mentioned in the poem, which is why something that will be mentioned in the poem will finish that statement. Today, a day in which a terrible mass shooting happened in Australia, I guess yesterday at this point in Australia, where people were gathered just to celebrate Hanukkah in public, just reminds me that this is something we still need to be proud of and do. The Hebrew tradition doing this in public, it's Pirsumei Nisa, lighting a light, and that's the name of the poem. Every year at the mall, all the local Jews gather together in front of everyone who has to slip by us to buy an orange Julius or see what Hot Topic is up to. slip past a people who lately might be better served keeping our heads down. I could show you the numbers, but this is a poem and no one wants that, so instead we keep our heads up in front of 10 feet tall menorahs, or Hanukkot, as the purists might say, even though there are 100 ways to spell that, and some of us are very particular about our transliterations. We keep our heads up and sing louder than the mall rules allow. We dance and give latkes away to anyone who wants one. We don't discriminate. You like a fried potato? You get a fried potato. Who needs a box of candles? How about some cheap dreidels? It's all for the taking at the mall because a great miracle happened there, and if we don't publicize it here, it's like it never happened. So light it up in front of everyone, right in the windows, so your neighbors know. Keep your head up, my friends. You are the miracle. All right. Well, there you go. That's everything. That was our reading. What a stellar roster of people we had here today. I want to thank all of our participants in this afternoon's, wherever you are, whatever time it is reading. Jennifer Phillips, Eric Paul Shaffer, Climbing Sun, Lorraine Caputo, Rosemary Boehm, Martha Ellen Johnson, John Dorroh, Lawrence Berger, MS Marcourt, Lorraine MacMillan, Jim Fox, Trevor, Heather Romero-Kornblum, Sam Harty, Randy Fowler, JD Glasscock, Alissa, Samarco, Steve Horel. Thank you all for being here and making this really fantastic reading. Our next open reading will be in 2026, which sounds far away, but it's not. January 11th, Sunday, January 11th, at the same exact time, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. Friendly reminder, you can, if you go to the Poetry Superhighway website, poetrysuperhighway.com/PSH, you can click under bookstore, and there's our holiday recommendations if you want to find a poetry book to consider giving as a gift this year to your non-poetry friends or even to your poetry friends. I'm sure we are accepting any donations made to Ain't Got No Press, Poetry Superhighway, Cobalt Poets, Haikuniverse, or if you're in the United States, are 100% tax deductible thanks to our partnership with Fractured Atlas. There's a little donate link on the upper right-hand corner of the website. I only talk about this once a year briefly. It's only our second year doing this, but that goes directly to supporting all the efforts and costs into putting all these things together. Zoom costs money when you have a professional account. Now you know. All right. Thanks everyone for being here. I'm going to click on the Ask All to Unmute button, so feel free to unmute and say hi to each other before we get going.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. Great job, everybody.
Hello
Thank
there.
Oh,
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Readings.
Hi.
Thanks for an awesome reading.
That was great.
Pleasure.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Happy
Good night.
holidays.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
happy
Happy
holidays.
Hanukkah.